Good morning! It is Wednesday, 8th grade. You've only got 2 days until spring break, and then the possibilities are clearly endless for you in spring break this year. I can only imagine what you'll be up to. Very nice. Let's do a check-in this morning. How you feeling? One of these? Oh, maybe it's all the way down. Maybe somewhere in between. Maybe in between the in-between. Ooh, there's that. I believe I'm right there. I believe I'm the diagonal thumb. Wait one moment, though. Oh, yes, I feel okay now. It's going to be a breakfast lecture from me to you. I'm going to teach you a few things about deep thought and poetry. Start with the would you rather question, though. We'll keep it simple but thought-provoking. Would you rather think positively or think negatively? Huh. Interesting. A lot of us would probably pick, I guess I'd rather think positively. Of course, a few of you would be like, no, I'm going to stay negative. And it's not even because you're stubborn. You have realized that thinking negatively offers some help as well. You can be saying, well, thinking negatively shows people that there's different ways to think, or thinking negatively helps keep things realistic for me. Aha, you've made some interesting observations. Of course, we can all agree that when we think positively, sometimes that can be more motivating or hopeful to get things done or to continue to live life well. A lot of times we don't think about having the choice to think positively. We often think we're born or programmed just to be, negative Nancy's, just to be very pessimistic. I would imagine that we could train our brains to think positively. Even when you're having a bad day, there's something called reframing. So here's one example, something negative. I have been sleeping all right, but not great, to be honest with you. I always wake up before my alarm. I wonder why. But a reframe would be, well, I'm thankful that I have time throughout a day to sneak in a nap if I need one. If we were in the classroom, I'd just be just burning the energy all day until probably 9 p.m. or 10, truthfully. That is Would You Rather and reframing. One quick announcement. This is for my homeroom specifically. If you are in Mr. Math Calago's class, he's encouraging you to finish strong and turn in the math homework before spring break. There's been a very low amount of turn-in for Math Calago's class. But I think you can turn it around. You got this. All right, give me about 5 minutes to teach you about the topic of the day. The topic of the day is called Worldview. And you ask, Mr. Grell, why the glasses? Oh, these old things, you caught me. They're not prescription. Honestly, they don't help at all. They're just a little bit of decoration. But I wanted to bring this other little symbolic piece in here to kind of help you remember what worldview is about. This is not glasses. It's not even a magnifying glass. It's just an eye, just like you've got 2 of them. A worldview is a way of interpreting, making sense of, and understanding the world around you. You were born in a very cold and painful surprise. You had no idea what was going on, so you decided to scream. And I believe as soon as you were born, you were trying to make sense of this confusing place called Earth or world or life. You were trying to create a worldview for yourself. Really, class, you can't be stubborn on this one and be like, oh, I don't want a worldview. Doesn't sound interesting. Everyone has a worldview. Everyone is coming up with opinions and values about this world and life, whether or not they are aware of it or not. I'm going to ask you a question on Google Classroom today, just for you to fill in the blank. Life is. I remember when I was 18, I was very ecstatic about life and all of its opportunities. I would have filled in that blank. Life is big. And to explain, I would have thought, wow, I'm about to go into college. Life is a lot bigger than the childhood life that I've lived. I can't wait to experience more. Life is big. Sometimes in my mid-20s, I was very busy with teaching, so I might just have filled in that blank. Life is work. Life is hard work. And that's not exactly a bad thing, but that's what I was focused on. This year, remember we painted on that canvas different letters? I would say for me, life is knowing and being known, sharing myself and sharing life with others. That's very powerful. Worldview. A worldview is a way of interpreting and understanding the world around you. Everyone has one. You can't help it. Everyone has values and predictions about what the world's all about, where we came from, what's the purpose, etc., etc. I want to teach you 4 of the big worldviews today. Why? Because I often think of poems as a tweet before Twitter. You can even think about it as a hashtag if you'd like. Poems are short. They're almost 140 characters or less, some of them, just like Twitter. And usually with those hashtags, people express themselves in a very short, clear way. It says hashtag no regrets, hashtag can't stop, won't stop. And so if you really think about it, poems have these central messages or these main ideas, and it could be hashtag being alone is good, or hashtag everyone's a bully, or hashtag beware of love, it's gonna get you. Let me finish off by saying the 4 worldviews, and I'm going to give an example comparing it to our poem that we read yesterday, the video poem, To This Day. So the first worldview would be theism. Theism. Theism is the belief that the world was created and is controlled by one supreme being. Christians would believe that Yahweh, or the Judeo-Christian God, is in control of this universe. From the To This Day poem, a theist's worldview would probably hone in on one of those last lines. It says, this life has less to do with pain and more to do with beauty. Kind of the idea, I think it comes from Romans, the idea that our present sufferings, the pain, does not compare to the future glories of heaven. Our second worldview is naturalism. Naturalism is this idea that science should be emphasized and things have a natural, rational explanation. The supernatural doesn't have as much of a place in the naturalist's perspective. So what would be the example? In To This Day, a naturalist would probably focus on that one part when the poet talks about the depressed teenager. And then there's that report where the parents are saying, just get over this, think positively. And a naturalist would be like, well, actually, scientifically, that teenager cannot think positively. The chemicals in his brain are not allowing him or her to do that. Science suggests that that is more difficult than you're making it seem. 2 more. We've got humanism. Humanism. Humanism obviously emphasizes us. It's this idea that we should grow our brains and knowledge, and that we should unify, we should celebrate the human connection and relationships. I have to admit, on my best days, I act like a theist, and kind of in my default, or just kind of my autopilot, I am a humanist as well. I've always had a heart for just relationships and seeing people grow to the best of their ability. The example from the poem, I think, is not just one line, it's the whole poem. It's this idea that the poet is talking about just bullied people, and this idea that we were strong. They have to be wrong what they said. They have to be wrong because we're strong. The final one is a really intense one. I bet you've experienced it before. It's called nihilism. Some people pronounce it nihilism. Nihilism, it's a Latin root word for nothing. And it's this idea that some people conclude that, there's not really any purpose. There's not really any explanation to this life, and there's not really any value to consider of either. So the scary thing about this is nihilists can often conclude, well, let's just see the world burn then. Let's kind of like break the system down, and let's kind of laugh when people get freaked out when we break down society. Nihilistic poetry often comes in like the teenage age, good old emo poetry saying like, what is life, blah, 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 I'm done with it. I don't think the poem yesterday was very nihilistic, but it did talk about a very serious issue. It discussed suicide. And though that person who is struggling with suicidal thoughts might not be a true nihilist, they might be kind of standing on the edge of the cliff thinking about, okay, what's my purpose? Does anyone care about me or anything? Thanks for listening today. It's a breakfast lecture. A reminder, I'm going to bring these worldviews up all the time in April. So we've got Theism, emphasizing God is in control. Naturalism, emphasizing there must be a scientific or natural explanation. Humanism, emphasizing us. Nihilism, nothing matters. I think we're going to be figuring out whispers of each of those worldviews in any poem that we read. We're going to read Maya Angelou's poem today, Still I Rise. I've read it out loud in class before. Can't wait to talk about worldview with you connected to the poem. Have a great day, guys.